and local you, and I'm going to talk to you about rocking local pay-per-click, which mostly AdWords, because let's admit it, it is mostly AdWords. But I find that there are a lot of opportunities in local pay-per-click especially that get overlooked, and I want to show you some of the cool stuff we've been doing. So we're going to start by talking about campaign structure, because I think this is one of the things that's most overlooked in local pay-per-click. And I have an example here of ad group names for a campaign that we set up. And for this, it's for a couple of recreation centers in the city of Edmonton. Kinsman is one of them, where it's the angry cat, and the happy cat is Commonwealth. And it's really important to make sure that you include the name of the location in the beginning of the ad group name, because if you don't, then you end up with this terrible report in analytics where all you can see is the names of the ad groups, but you don't actually see a location associated with it, which drives me crazy because I know that, for example, there's this competitors campaign that's running between Edmonton and Calgary, but I don't know which one is performing really well and which one is performing really badly. So make sure to put those location names in the ad groups. It's going to make your reporting a million times easier. So that out of the way, let's get to the really cool stuff. First off, enhanced campaigns, which are amazing, and I love them, and you should love them too. Do not be scared of the enhanced campaigns. And the reason why I love enhanced campaigns is because of radius targeting, which is one of the new options that we have available to us. So in this example, I'm showing a campaign that, and this is real clicks and real impressions for a real campaign, I'm not hiding anything here, that we're running again for the city of Edmonton for the recreation centers. And one of the things that we found out is that people are twice as likely to click on the ad if it's on a mobile device than it is on a desktop device. And part of that is a simple, complete lack of competition. For some reason, the competitors for yoga classes in Edmonton, and if anyone is watching who runs a yoga studio in Edmonton, don't, because we like this nice competitive advantage that we have. But please make sure that you are targeting both desktop and mobile devices, and you might be surprised as well. You know, a 2.7% click-through rate over a 1% on desktop, that's a pretty sweet competitive advantage. And the next thing you need to ask yourself is, where are your users? One of the great reports that you get with radius targeting is you can view specific locations where your users are located. Now, Americans who are watching this, you can view this by zip code. What I'm looking at are postal codes, which are like zip codes but have letters in them. And one of the things that I can see is that the postal code that starts with T5H has a 0.9% click-through rate, whereas the postal code starting with T5K only has a 0.29 click-through rate, T5G only a 0.3 click-through rate. I'm going to set those postal codes up as negative targeting options in my radius targeting, and maybe they should be going to a different recreation center or a different location instead. So make sure to take a look at where your users are actually coming from, and then do elimination based on that to really push up your click-through rate, which of course makes your ads cheaper and happier and puppies and babies and whatnot. Next thing is ad extensions. I love ad extensions. You should use all the ad extensions. And Google says, oh no, don't use all the ad extensions. You know, you can add more than one type of extension to your ad, but keep in mind some extensions, such as site links, may override your location extensions. In these instances, we won't show the location extension in your ad. Google lies. Sorry, Google. Don't shut off my campaigns. But we have a campaign running, and here it is in the screenshot here. And what's happening is we have site links and a phone number and location extension all running in the ad. So Google, are you wrong? I don't know, but try it. It's working really well. And then we get 40 extra pixels for free because our ad is so much bigger than the competition's. I mean, free-ish. The cost per click was slightly higher on the location extension than it was in the other extensions. So take that into consideration. But at the same time, it's totally worth it. The click-through rate on this ad is fantastic. The next thing is that this also really works in mobile. You know, this is the same search done on a mobile device. Our client's ad right in the middle there really stands out because it has the call now button and the other ads don't. And we find we get a lot of call to click or click to call in mobile than we do on desktop or anything else. It's really sticky. And seriously, use extensions. So I set up a test. I can't show you real impression data, unfortunately, for this because it's a little wonky, but what I am going to show you is the actual change in click-through rate. What I did is I had the Terwilliger Recreation Center, again, back to the Rec Center campaign in Edmonton, set up without any ad extensions at all, and then I added in the ad extensions for it, and you can see in the week that didn't have the ad extensions, we had a 2.7% click-through rate, and then I added the ad extensions, and now it's a 7.14% click-through rate. We didn't do any other changes in this time. All we did was add the ad extension, and it's a 165% change in the click-through rate, doing just adding the ad extension. The second ad isn't as good. It's only a 92% increase, sorry, but try ad extensions. If you're not putting them in, it takes 2 seconds. It really adds a lot of value to the ads. Real estate, much higher click-through rate. Go ahead and do it. Now, call tracking, which is a very contentious topic. Talk to Will Scott about that. But what we recommend is make sure if you're putting call tracking in your ads or using call tracking numbers, use local area codes. I find that that is really important. And again, we set up this test. Please don't call any of these numbers, we'll get charged for it. We set up a test because we couldn't get enough 780 area code numbers, which is the area code for Edmonton. So we had to resort to using some 888s. And we found, you can see in the chart here, that the 780 numbers have a much higher click-through rate than the 888 numbers. There's that trust factor just isn't there that it is with a local extension. So if you can get a local area code, do that. It's also true with alternate area codes. So some areas, for example, will have the main area code and then it'll have an extra area code because it ran out of numbers. In Edmonton, for example, we have 780 and then 587 is a new area code. It's a totally legitimate area code, but it's perceived as the new area code and people don't know it as well. And so if they see a 587 area code, again, they also don't have as high a click-through rate. So try to get that local area code if you can. And the other thing that I noticed too is that you can see all these clicks that we have for these campaigns, but there's a really high drop-off in click-to-call. Only 2 people out of the 30 or so who actually clicked on the phone number actually completed the phone call, which is really interesting. And I definitely want to look into this more. I've just seen this recently happen, but I want to find out why that's happening. So make sure not only to monitor the click-through rate on the phone number in the ad, but also monitor how many people are actually completing that phone call, because there's that drop-off there for sure. Now we're going to talk about keywords. One of the things that we find to be really successful for our clients is to use neighborhood names. This is for a home builder in Calgary specifically, but we really like putting in neighborhood names because people search for that and it's broad. I mean, being a little bit lazy here and using broad keywords, but you know what? When there's not a lot of competition, you can be a little bit lazy in the beginning to find some interesting keywords that you might not have otherwise. And people searching for Auburn Bay, even though they may not have been looking for houses, they might have been looking for the local mall or the farmer's market or a street or just find out more information about the neighborhood, are clicking through to our client's website to find out more information about the homes in that area. Consider using neighborhood names. And be unexpected with the keywords that you choose. So if you have a restaurant, try advertising on the name of your local art gallery. If you run a bike tune-up shop, advertise to people looking for local bike path information. If you sell shoes, local running path information, advertise on that. If you sell wine, people who like wine typically also enjoy farmers markets. Think about that behavior. So advertise and spend extra on the day the farmers market is running, or phrases like your local farmers market hours, for example, and then actually provide a useful page with the hours. Don't just spam on the keyword, but try to provide some value as well, which I find gets some really great pickup. Same thing with bookstores and museums, hotels and festivals. That's a really strong combination as well. If you have a local folk festival or a music festival or theater coming to your town and you have a hotel, you should definitely be advertising on those festival names. Think about the nice strong connections. Why do people come to you, or how do people relate you with other types of services in your mind, and how can you advertise on that? And then last but not least is demographics. So I like to look at where people are logged in when they come to my website. And there's a great plugin for WordPress to do this. There's also ways, if you don't have a WordPress site, that you can get there. There's a link here on this page to check that out. But what I like to do is I like to build, let's say, for example, I can see that lots of people logged into Facebook when they come to my website, which in general is a pretty good assumption, frankly, because lots of people use Facebook. I like to build demographics for Facebook and then get them into that remarketing audience. And now you have a remarketing audience built strictly on demographics. And Marty Weintraub put this idea in my head, and we've been using it to great success for our clients. So for example, if I'm personally, for my business, trying to reach people, let's say I'm speaking at the University of Alberta, and I want to reach University of Alberta alumni to tell them about the speaking event I have coming up, then here's a great sponsored post. I set up this audience of 3,600 people who live in Edmonton, who graduated from the University of Alberta, who are not connected to us, who are in the category of small business owners. That's a really segmented area. And then I bring them to a landing page that talks about my talk on my website. And now I have this demographic retargeting that I can trigger at any point. So let's say 6 months from now, I write a guide to small business owners and local search engine optimization. Now I have this remarketing audience that I can just pull the trigger on and set that up. Again, owners of old computers, Parents, child 0 to 3 years, there's lots of really interesting demographic targets that you can set up, get them on a landing page, get them in your remarketing audience, and then hang on to that and use it later in your marketing. And same thing with LinkedIn. I find that LinkedIn advertising is really underused, and I love LinkedIn advertising. I could do a whole thing about LinkedIn advertising. But take a look at, for me, one of the examples that I'm absolutely going to use when I'm done at SMX this week is I'm going to advertise my slides to people who live in Canada who are a member of SMX. You can actually target based on groups. You just have to be a member of that group, and then you can advertise to people in that group. So I want to target the 1,993 LinkedIn members who are in Canada, who are members of SMX or Search Engine Land or Marketing Land. And hey, you should take a look at my slides. Highly targeted. They're already clearly interested in what SMX has to offer because they're a member of this group. So they should be interested in what I had to say at my presentation. Have fun with it. Don't get too stressed out about local. I mean, a lot of the time, yeah, definitely in the States, you have more competition than in Canada, but I think you can really have a lot of fun with it. Try to step out of the box. You're not going to blow the bank the first run. And you and your client next week are totally going to be high-fiving. Absolutely. So I hope you enjoyed it.